happy with the progress your team is making as you come close to the start of the first preseason game, only preseason game?
Yeah. I go by what, the other coaches are telling me, and, we kind of agree that they've all made progress, individually and team-wise. You never know how much until you actually play, and maybe we'll know a little bit more on Sunday, or Saturday rather, and we'll certainly know a lot more at the end of next week. But right now you just go by, it looks like we've gotten better.
Did you get anything out of that, the closed door scrimmage that has since happened that you can talk about before?
Yeah, we certainly did. Anytime you're actually playing against another team, and you're seeing somebody different than what you're used to seeing every day. When you watch it on film, it really points out a lot of the little things that maybe a player thinks doesn't translate into games. So you might talk about this is what happened in practice, but they maybe don't realize this is how that translates into a game, and then you're able to show them that. So, we were good offensively. Our perimeter players were really good. They shot the ball really well. So the things that I thought we were good at, we were pretty good at, for sure.
Coach, is this one of the deepest teams you've had in a while? Or
I don't know yet. Somebody said, on paper, you guys look really deep. I said, well, if we were in a paper fight, we would probably win that. But it's not what's happening on paper. It's what translates onto the court. So, as we practice more and as we get into the season and as we play games and you can start evaluating how people play in games, then you can kind of really see what the rotation really looks like. Because in practice there's a lot of ups and downs, but certainly compared to the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, for sure, yeah. There's probably, and I'm not counting Aubrey because Aubrey hasn't practiced. There's obviously the players that came back from last year are a little bit better and a little bit more experienced. So that's 5 right there. The 5 guys that played the most minutes last year, and then you still have Nika and Aubrey, as I said. So that's 2 more players that are going to contribute because they played a lot last year. And then who of the freshmen feels the most comfortable in games? Right now it's probably Caroline and AZ. So you're at 7, 8. Who knows? Could be more. Depending on how the games go. But certainly it's more than what we've had, for sure.
Thank you.
How is Aubrey and any other kind of health updates? What's actually at the Center?
It's better, but it's not where it needs to be right now. And the unfortunate thing is there's no definitive, okay, it's 2 more days, or it's 3 more days, or it's 4 more days. I think it's just a matter of when is it comfortable for her to get back into doing full speed playing basketball.
It's still the ankle sprain?
Huh?
Is it still an ankle sprain?
Yeah.
That's what it is?
Yeah. And I guess they say some are worse than others, Never understood the term high ankle sprain. I thought your ankle is your ankle. I know it's a low ankle, high ankle. But I guess high ankle sprains are a little more difficult than your average ankle sprain.
When's the last time she was able to practice with you guys? Or when did that happen?
I don't think she's had 1 week of practice. Mm-mm. Not at all, no. And it's really unfortunate. Really unfortunate because, you know, Aubrey needs the time on the court, but the time that she did have was really, really, really good. And she's somebody that's different than what we have out there, you know. We can move her around to different spots and she can affect the game, you know, in a lot of different ways.
Do you have particular expectations or things you want to see from AZ this season as a whole, at least maybe to start off? Because we've talked a lot about, okay, she's maybe further along than other freshmen, but when it comes to what her role could be or what you think it could be, what would that look like?
Yeah, I think everybody, I've always said this, everybody travels at their own pace, you know. And what she's done really, really well is, you know, she's been able to play to her strengths, you know. She makes open shots. So when you have somebody like that, you want them to work really, really hard to get open and to, you know, be aggressive and be assertive and hunt down shots, you know, kind of like the way, you know, Paige does or the way Katie Lou did, you know, when she was here, where we didn't really necessarily have to run plays for you because you always managed to end up with the ball and you were open. We've had a bunch of guys like that. And AZ can do that. She does that. I think because she's a freshman and because she's kind of quiet, that she probably hasn't shown us how aggressive she can be, how many shots she can get, you know. I mean, she shot the ball great in the scrimmage and she didn't hesitate. She got a lot of shots and she made a lot of them. So to me, is she going to make enough of them is not an issue. Is can we get her enough of them? And that's partly on us and partly on her. And and defensively, I think she's really impressed everyone because no one's ever talked about that aspect of her game. It's always been her, you know, her ability to score, her ability to shoot the ball. And you know, she was telling me the other day that for the longest time in high school, she liked being on defense better than offense. That was probably until every shot started going in, and then realized I've never had a kid sign a letter of intent with UConn and go, I really want to go up there and be National Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Had a few win it.
We've had a few win it.
Are you concerned that there might not be enough minutes around for players who might even deserve to get minutes, but you just can't get the minutes?
No, I'm not worried about that. They probably are, but I'm not worried about it because at the end, when it's crunch time, people that deserve it are going to get it. Does that mean that everybody's equally deserving? No. Some people are going to deserve it more than others. And some people are going to be in the game at certain times and other people are not. Why? Because they deserve to be in during those times. So all this stuff will play out, you know. But it's a catch-22, right? You can't have everybody be, wow, you guys are so deep. Hey, aren't you worried you have too many players and not enough minutes? Well, you can't have one without the other, you know? Caroline? Good. She's been, you know, a little bit of a surprise in that the game doesn't seem too fast. She's able to, you know, use her length to get to the basket a lot. And we've probably, between her and Kristen, we've probably gotten to the basket, and AZ can too, because, you know, people come out on her so hard. But we've probably gotten the ball on the rim more times already this year than we did all of last year. And, you know, it's something that's been a point of emphasis for us, but she's really good at it. She doesn't need a lot of time. You know, the ball doesn't spend a lot of time in her hands. So, one, she cuts really hard. Two, when she catches it, it's up on the rim before the defense has a chance to react. And she makes enough threes that she gets open lanes to cut and to drive it. The other parts, on the other side, that's a work in progress, like it is for most freshmen.
Talk to Dorka. Her kind of attitude, feeling was that, whatever they need me to do is what
Yeah.
I'm going to do. And I'm sure you wouldn't have taken her if she didn't feel that way, if she didn't have that attitude. But still, she has a pretty impressive resume coming here. So how has she fit in? How is she adjusting? And what have you seen from her that you've liked, and if anything that she needs to change to be more effective?
Well, she is highly skilled. She's skilled around the basket. When she's in a state of calm, she makes open shots. She's a good passer. She works really hard defensively. She's got good hands and good feet, and she's long. The thing that has been a little bit of a setback is that she missed all of preseason. She had a pull muscle in her thigh and is trying to catch up. So she missed about a month of preseason conditioning work. So right now that's the main focus for us. And then she's so anxious to do well, so anxious to get stuff done that she's a little bit ahead of herself at times. But I don't think she's one of the ones that I'm worried about getting minutes for. She's going to play. She's good.
Is Amari injured, or she wasn't out there today?
A little bit of both. I think she had a doctor's appointment. So for her, again, same thing, getting healthy, getting 100%. There's been a lot of little things, throughout the whole preseason, and, a lot of October and a lot of September and October. There's been, a lot of little things that have kind of caught up. So little by little, we're trying to get her to be 100%, but she's not there yet.
What are you looking for Sunday specifically?
Sunday?
Yeah.
Well, you want to see whether, how organized we are, and we haven't played in front of home fans in forever, right? It seems like, our fans, our kids that are sophomores, our fans have never seen them play in person unless they happen to be at the Final Four. So it's an exciting time for our players, and I think for our fans as well. But I just want to see how we react to, being in a big gym like Gampel and having, 7,000 or 8,000 people in the building, having a different team that's organized and running plays, and, and that's why you have these exhibition games. It's hopefully, we come out of there with a lot more information. I think if the only thing we come out of there with is, hey, we won, I don't think that's very productive. But if we come out of there with a lot of good info about this is what we really need to harp on, this is what we're good at, then obviously it would be worth the time that we put into it.
I might be messing up my rule changes, but the three-point line get moved back
Yes.
this year, for this year.
Yes.
And how's that adjustment? Have you noticed anything from?
No. I haven't to this point, because we've been, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been pretty much operating with the men's line anyway. That's why I said whenever you put two lines on the floor, when people come down the floor, the first line they see, they stop. So it's ludicrous to think that we were going to have one line for the men and another one for the women. So we've been using that line in all our shooting drills and everything that we do anyway. So for them, it's not a big deal. And then we got some kids, they use the NBA line as their guy to shoot from. So I think it helps the really good shooters because it doesn't affect them one iota. And I think the guys that can't shoot threes, it helps them too, because now when the coach says, you're not shooting it, they go, okay. Because they know they can't make them. And you say, well, that's a lot. It's a lot. So for the good shooters, it's great. For the post players, it's great. There's more room to operate in there. For the guys that think they're good 3-point shooters and they're not the winning edge for them.
Do you have a sense of what, I know it's early, but what this team's, like, I don't know, the X factor maybe, more or less could
X
be?
factor?
Yeah.
X factor for any team, I think, but when you have as many, we're kind of a weird team, right? We've got a lot of guys back that played a lot, but we have 9 freshmen and sophomores. So it's kind of weird, right? Mm-hmm. So the X factor is how does that mesh? And so far, so good. Mm-hmm. The other factor is, like, are they aware that this is, UConn women's basketball, and that the object is to win 4 games in March? Like, if they're, the X factor is, are they aware of that? I don't know that you can make them aware of it, but are they aware of that internally, the team? Do they talk about it? Do they know that every day of practice, that's what we're playing for? Because if they're just going to be content to, like, be good and just, not think long term, then I think we'll come up short. We won't reach our potential, whatever that is. So I've been keeping a watchful eye on what's the mindset, what's the mood, And if you talk to them, I'm sure they say all the right things. They probably, are certainly aware of it, but do they actually live it every day? That's what you need to find out.
Are you more, you said, like, keeping an eye on that more so this year than other years, or even last year?
No, it's
every year.
As I said, it's every year. Mm-hmm. And that's why, some years, when people are making a big deal about your team, you just go home and shake your head and go, we have no chance. I mean, we can sneak in there and do some damage, whatever, but there's something missing, whether it's, maturity-wise or mentally or physically, or, we don't have enough of this or that. And then there's other years when we have this, we have that, we've got what it takes, and we have the right mindset that everybody stays healthy. Nobody's going to beat us. But I would say, the last 4 or 5 years, there's been, more concerted effort. Like, do you understand the mindset that you have to have here if you want to? And yet, what are you going to say? We've been to 13 straight Final Fours. So what's that mean? If you don't win the last 4 games, it's a bad season. So it's you're walking that fine line. We're playing to win those Final 4 games. Not the Final 4, but trying to win the last 4 games. And yet at the same time, what's that mean if we don't? So if you're undefeated and you lose one of those games, it's another lousy year. UConn, which has won 11 national championships, but none in the last 5 years.
No one would ever say that.
No one would ever say that. No one would ever say that.
24 more years to catch Carl.
No. So you kind of like, and some players take that, some teams take that as a tremendous challenge, and then some teams get a little bit, So how do you? So that is the biggest challenge in coaching now. How much do you challenge them without scaring the hell out of them? I haven't completely figured that out yet. How do you put that right in front of that? So that's the goal. Without, oh my God, if I don't get that, we failed.
I was going through some stuff the other day with top 10 teams, and it seems a lot more this year that a lot of them are playing each other more than Usually that's something you've always talked about. So you're obviously pleased with that?
Yeah. I mean, take a look at, you look at the ESPN early season matchups on the men's side. And all the best teams are playing against each other in the first month of the season, it seems like. Nobody's afraid to play anybody. And that hasn't always been the case in women's basketball. You know, people try to, hide from other teams, try to build up their record, and not schedule any games that are a little bit of a threat to them. And I think it's great for our game. It's great for the fans. It's great for the kids playing that, they get that kind of a challenge early in the season. I mean, I look at our schedule and I'm like, man, I don't know what I was thinking when we made that up, but in the end, I think it's good. You know me, most years when I make up the schedule, I'm making it with the goal of not being undefeated. Like the goal of, we need to lose a couple games and we need to figure out how to recover after losses and how to learn from our mistakes and all that. So you schedule those games and they help you. They help you if you win, if you have the right team, and they help you if you lose. But if you never put yourself in that situation, you're kind of going into the NCAA tournament kind of fooling yourself because you're not quite sure. I think we usually know by the time we get to the end of the NCAA tournament, are we good enough or are we not good enough? At least the coaches know, the players, we have to lie to them and convince them that we are. Some years you tell them the truth and some years you gotta.
Shay's going to be coaching her first game in a few days.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've given her?
I don't think I've given her any. They've got 2 coaches on that staff that talk to each other every day and every night. So, when she left, it was mostly about don't try to rush the whole process. It's going to take time, like it does it, and it's going to take extra time maybe in that league because it's a really tough league to win in. And you're not exactly inheriting, a top 20 team. So Shay's very impatient. Shay's very results oriented. Always has been. It's part of her success. And I think that's good. And I think she needs to, keep an eye on that.
How did last year's loss to Arkansas, and speaking of the question before, just like what did you learn from that kind of about your team? Granted, it was hard because you only had that one big matchup.
Well, we played our best basketball right after that game. So I think that game ultimately really helped us. As bad as it looked while it was happening, right after that game, we played about 6 or 7 games where we were as good as we've ever been, the last couple of years. So you need to have those games. You hope you can pull that game out, but sometimes losing a game like that, I think can make all the difference in the world.
Do you see a game like that mid-season last year, especially since you have so many returners this year, kind of sticking around in our heads, especially because you play Arkansas Open this year? Granted, you have the personnel, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that... I don't know what kids think anymore, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I'm sure if you ask them, you're like, yeah, we want to kill them, that, blah, 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 yeah, we marked that on our calendar. I don't buy any of that. I don't buy any of that.
Where does Nika fit into all this?
Where does Nika fit in? Well, if you think about it, based on what I said too, if you remember when we put Nika in the starting lineup last year, the team changed a little bit. There was a different edge to our team. So that hasn't changed. Her impact on the team hasn't changed. She's been nagged by a foot thing that she's playing through it, but it's been bothering her. But Nika's got an impact on our team that very few kids have. She's got a voice on our team that very few kids have. And I envision, I envision her having that impact. What way? I don't know yet.
Because it's interesting, because John, you think of, if you look at like pure talent, I don't know where you would rank her amongst the pure talented people, or where would you rank her? And why is she able to move up in that change and be a contributor and, last year's starter?
Because she plays harder than everybody else. She competes harder than other players. She may be physically tougher than the other kids. So there's a lot of things that go into her makeup that separate her from other kids on the team. I think people will probably be surprised if I said that, nobody on our team works harder than Paige. The average person out there wouldn't understand that because they only see the other side. But you'd be hard pressed to say, well, Paige works harder than Nika. So when you work that hard and you're that tough and you're that fearless and you're that competitive, things open up for you.
Maybe Nika has a good impact on Paige. Good influence on him.
Maybe. I noticed Paige is starting to foul more, so I think Nika's had a profound effect on her so far.